I'm with you.
Remember, don't forget to eat.
Cute jacket. Blazer. Thank you. I got it from Old Navy. Did you? Old Navy.
I have candy.
Bobby's in position. All right. Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started. I now call to order the regular Township Committee meeting for November 6, 2025. Please rise as we pledge allegiance to the American flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The notice of time and date for this meeting appeared in Resolution 2025-003 dated January 3rd, 2025. This notice was sent to the Burlington County Times and Courier Post newspapers as a legal notice and sunshine notice in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Law, posted on the Township webpage, bulletin board in the municipal building, and written notice mailed to all who requested copies of the regular meeting schedule. All of the above-mentioned postings and filings were fulfilled on the 4th day of November 2025. Please silence all cell phones to alleviate disruption of our meeting. Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson,
Here.
Committeeman Robinson, Committeewoman Smith,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
Here.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Here.
Professionals present, Wade Dickey, Township Solicitor, and Bobby Quinn, Deputy Administrator and Township Clerk.
Thank you, Bobby. So we are going to make a slight adjustment to the agenda this evening. We were not originally going to have an executive session tonight, but we are going to have one now. And because there may be action that results from that, we have decided to have the executive session now so that when we come out, we can do the full agenda and any action items in the public. Wade, do you have the, I guess, verbiage or description we need for executive session?
Yeah, I'm turning it on now. It's matters relating to litigation, personnel matters, negotiation, and attorney-client privilege.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Bobby, could you please read the title of the executive session resolution into the record?
Yes, resolution authorizing executive session pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12, matters relating to litigation, personnel matters, negotiation, and the attorney-client privilege.
Thank you, Bobby. Do I have a motion to go into executive?
So moved, Fay.
Do I have a second? Thank you. Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson,
Yes.
Committeeman Robinson, Committeewoman Smith,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
Yes.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Yes. Wade, do we have a guesstimate on how long we think we're going to be?
I would say about 30 minutes.
Okay. So for the benefit of the public, we are going to retire to the conference room in the back. That way you guys can all stay seated here. And we will return as soon as we can and resume the rest of the business meeting. Thank you.
And just to remind those that are in attendance, the video is recording your, your voices. So something that you may say may be recorded and picked up. So I just wanted to make you aware in our absence, okay?
This chair always is so low.
That's why. Testing.
Testing. There we go.
Oh, sorry, Bob, thank you. All right, we are back. I have 7:39 PM for our return from executive session. No action was taken. I will now proceed with the rest of the regular meeting agenda, starting with the approval of the minutes for October 16th, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move Benson?
Second.
Thank you. Bobby, roll call, please.
Yes. Committeeman Benson,
Abstain?
Committeeman Robinson,
Yes.
Committeewoman Smith,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
Abstain.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we now move on to the adoption of ordinances on second reading. Bobby, could you please read the title of the first ordinance?
Yes, ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance adopting Chapter 272 of the Lumberton Township Code entitled Yard Waste to establish proper management procedures for residential yard waste in the Township of Lumberton.
Thank you, Bobby. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-06?
So moved, Faye.
I have a second?
Benson? Oh,
Okay. As this ordinance is on second reading, we do have a public hearing for comments relative to this ordinance only, which I will open now. If anyone wishes to speak on this ordinance only, you may come to the microphone at this time.
George Swain, 10 Moore Street, Lumberton, New Jersey. Who determines what yard waste is and who's going to enforce it?
Excellent question, Bobby.
Yes, let me grab that for you. Hold on one second.
And what is the criteria?
So basically, this particular ordinance is being done in accordance with stormwater management requirements through this state of New Jersey. And the enforcement of it would be the Township Code Enforcement Officer and our Township Zoning Officer, which are both provided through our construction department.
Yeah, I believe the definition for yard waste is actually included in the ordinance. Am I correct, Bobby?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Is the definition included in the ordinance as well?
Yes.
It's yard clipping. There's a full definition in there. So.
Read it.
No person shall sweep, rake, blow, or otherwise place yard waste into the street unless it is scheduled for collection. And then for non-containerized loose yard waste collection, placement of loose yard waste must be at least 10 feet away from any storm drain inlet and no sooner than 7 days prior to a scheduled and announced collection. And for containerized yard waste collection, it shall be placed in appropriate containers at the curb or along the street for collection, such as leaves, for example.
Yard clippings.
Yes.
Yeah,
Grass clippings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You said leaves, what was the other thing?
Grass clippings.
Grass clippings. Like when you cut your lawn and you have grass clippings, instead of blowing them into the street, they have to be disposed of properly. That's really what this is about. Yeah.
Yep.
It's because it's my understanding that we've had some complaints about yard clippings and leaves being pushed into the street. And listen, I don't know.
You should have been on the street yesterday with enough leaves blowing down Moore Street.
I know. In front of my house, all over. Trust me, I understand.
And
It's
Mr.
more about
Swain,
blowing them into. It's more about blowing them and actively, intentionally putting them on
and causing like a kind of wet, like especially if you cut your grass or leaves and they blow into the street and it rains, it's more like a slick surface for like, say, maybe the motorcycle,
Yeah,
riders and
And
things of that
clogging up
nature.
the storm
So,
drain.
Yeah,
almost like a safety.
We've had complaints about people's landscapers blowing stuff into the
What?
street. There have been complaints received by the township when people's landscapers blow stuff into the street on purpose. We're not talking about Mother Nature.
Yeah.
So,
If the wind blows the leaves, then you're not gonna get a violation. But if you actively use a leaf blower to blow your leaves and your lawn clippings into the street, it's different.
So what in God's word is supposed to do? Put them in a bag and you guys don't want to pick grass up.
Do you
You gotta
have,
pay extra to get your grass clippings picked up.
Not everyone, unfortunately, uses them, and it also prevents it from going into the sewer system and the drains, the stormwater drains, and it is a requirement from New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection in accordance with stormwater.
thank you, Mr. Swain. Anyone else with comments on this ordinance only?
I'd like to know how we're going to be notified. On pickups, can it be put on
You have to state your name and address. sir.
Tony Bonanno?
Name and address for the record, please,
Huh?
sir. Your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Tony Bonanno, 13 Hemsing. I'm just curious to how we're going to be notified. Can it be put into like that app you got
The
for
recycle app.
The Recycle Coach app?
recycling and all
Mhm.
that?
It's
And-
my.
and garbage pickup, so we know when it's going to occur?
Absolutely,
yes.
yes. We have the current leaf collection schedule up on our township website, so that'll also provide you with information on when your particular neighborhood will be, Public Works will be picking up the leaves in your area, and we can absolutely include any other information on the website. We just wanted to make sure the ordinance was adopted before we did that and notify the residents. So it will
Okay.
be on the website.
I never seem to catch it on the website, but the garbage app is the one that I always look at for where.
We can put that, we could try and include that as well. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else for comments on this ordinance only? Okay, seeing none, I will now close the public hearing for this ordinance. Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson,
Yes.
Committeeman Robinson,
Yes.
Committeewoman Smith,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
Yes.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Bobby, would you please read the title of the next ordinance on second reading?
Yes, ordinance 2025-07, an ordinance amending section 265-77 of the Lumberton Township Code entitled Resident Parking Only Decals, Violations, and Penalties.
Thank you, Bobby. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-07?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. As this ordinance is also on second reading, I will now open the public hearing for comments relative to this ordinance only. If you have any comments or questions, please take this time to step up to the microphone now. Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing for this ordinance.
Mayor? can I
Yes,
ask-
sir.
Can I ask one question of it? I know we
Yes,
have
yes,
the,
please.
I know
Yes.
we have the original ordinance, and I know what it was for, but amending, are we changing anything, or what was it amended for? Or can I get a little extra background? Or
Committeeman Benson, the only amendment, if you allow me, Mayor LaPlaca,
Yes, please.
to this particular ordinance is, it was at the chief police request that the permits would be renewed every 2 years rather than every year. It will provide a cost savings to the township, and also the residents that are affected by this permit would only need to provide their updated information every 2 years versus every year. That is the only change.
Okay, thanks. So you streamlined it. I appreciate
Yes.
that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the committee on the ordinance? Okay, hearing none. Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson,
Yes.
Committeeman Robinson,
Yes.
Committeewoman Smith,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
Yes.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, Bobby, would you please read the title of the next ordinance on second reading?
Yes, an ordinance amending Chapter 250, Article 1 of the Lumberton Township Code entitled Excavations to revise permit excavation process.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-08?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. This ordinance is also on second reading, so I will now open the public hearing for comments relative to this ordinance only. If you have any, please step up to the microphone at this time. Okay, seeing none, I now close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the committee?
Once again, because I guess I wasn't here, just a little explanation on it. Is it a change to anything that we have on record, or is it something new, or is it in just a little background? That's all, please.
If you allow me, Mayor LaPlaca?
Yes, please.
Yes, thank you. So with this particular ordinance, there is no change. The only change, excuse me, the ordinance structure format did not change. The only thing that changed is previously hold on one second, let's see, our construction official was going to be in, basically reviewed and processed all of the street opening permits and so on. And now we've kind of like research that, and rather than the construction official addressing these issues, it will be the general public works foreman and/or township engineer, just because there's road openings and things like that. And sometimes when the road is open, our engineer would have to just kind of check to make sure that it is done properly, and our public works foreman and our engineer will work hand in hand together. That's the only change.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson.
Yes.
Committeeman Robinson.
Yes.
Committeewoman Smith.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay.
Yes.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Yes. Bobby, would you please retitle the next ordinance on second reading?
Ordinance 2025-09, an ordinance to provide for and determine the rate of compensation of officers and employees of the Township of Lumberton.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-09?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. As this ordinance is also on second reading, I will now open the public hearing for comments relative to this ordinance only.
So I just want to know, since one committee member was honest enough to say he didn't read the other.
Excuse me, ma'am, could you just please state your name and address for the
Cynthia
record?
Sora, 9 Ginger Drive.
Thank you.
Since committee member Benson was honest enough to say he hadn't read the last two ordinances, but yet voted on them tonight, thank you for your honesty. I want to know how many of you actually read this, and do the changes in compensation fit within the township budget, since you've now all raised the taxes? And I'm coming back with my trash issue, that apparently we just don't have enough money to reimburse properly the township residents of country estates that pay for their trash. Thank you.
So when I asked for clarity, it's because I wasn't here for the last two meetings. That's why I asked for clarity.
Well, clarity though, then you should have had the opportunity to read them even if you weren't.
I was away on a honeymoon, and prior to that, I was away out of the state. So that's why I didn't attend. Mhm. It's not that I didn't read them. I wanted more clarification, because I can read, but I want a perfect understanding of what the change was. So thank you.
With respect to your other question, Ms. Sora, the changes to the salary ordinance are already covered by the existing budget. We make these adjustments from time to time to accommodate for raises that were already approved, for collective bargaining agreements where people have changes of title or changes of salary, and to adjust salaries for positions where people have gotten raises. So this does not affect the budget that was already adopted for this year. Any questions or comments from the committee regarding this ordinance?
No.
Okay, Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson.
Yes.
Committeeman Robinson.
Yes.
Committeewoman Smith.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay.
Abstain.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Yes. Okay, Bobby, would you please retitle the next ordinance on second reading?
Yes, ordinance 2025-10, an ordinance amending section 35-2 of the Lumberton Township Code entitled Conduct of Township Committee Meetings.
Thank you, Bobby. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-10?
Motion to adopt.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you. As this ordinance is on second reading, we will now open the public hearing for comments relative to this ordinance only. If you have one, please step up to the microphone at this time. And as a reminder, please state your name and address for the record before you start speaking.
Beverly Marinelli, 28 Flemish Way. I have a question first. What prompted this?
This was a request that we received through the clerk's office to modify the conduct of public meetings and the public comment rules for the meetings.
But why? Were there problems before?
Well, the clerk can certainly speak for herself, but she felt that this would do better in maintaining decorum and the efficiency of the meetings.
Okay. And my comment is, I totally oppose this. Totally. This is the public. We elect you people. And then you tell us we have to reduce from 5 minutes to 3 minutes? What is this? Big Brother? Terrible, absolutely terrible. Now, if you have an issue with somebody who comes up here and hogs the microphone, then you know what? Deal with it. It doesn't happen often. I think this is horrendous. How dare you?
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else this evening for comments on this ordinance only?
Kip Puglisi, 28 Adler Circle. I'm also complaining. I mean, I'm just starting getting into politics, and I like the organization and learning about it. And now I only will have 3 minutes if I have a discussion. I personally have a problem speaking quickly, so my 3 minutes would go very fast. And I don't think it's fair for those that have speech issues and to be told they only have 3 minutes to speak. I think 5 minutes, just getting it out is hard. And so I disagree also. I hope you guys consider it, because I deal with special needs kids, and I can imagine one of them coming up and talking, and they would have a hard time getting their information out in 3 minutes. Just my point. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to clarify too for the public that the time limit, whether it's 5 minutes or 3 minutes, does not represent the entirety of your time at the microphone. If you have comments or questions from the committee, that does not include any back and forth that we may engage in with you, or that our professionals may engage in with you. If it takes you 3 minutes to ask me a question and then it takes me 5 minutes to answer you, that doesn't make 8 minutes. And I will say too that, and this has been, I think, exemplified many times in my time on committee, that when we have members of the public who come to us with pertinent matters that are more complex, that require some back and forth with the attorney, with our professionals, with members of the committee, we don't set a timer. We don't let you leave the microphone until we feel that your issue has been resolved. This is not to say it's the right thing to do, but most towns that I have worked in or experienced, they literally have a timer sitting on the dais, and the minute it buzzes, you're done. You could be in the middle of a sentence and they make you sit down. We don't do that here. So this is not about limiting the opportunity for you to express yourself. In fact, we welcome it. I've said it many times before. I've sat up here far too many times where this room was empty except for the people who are paid to be here, and that's not the way it should be. I welcome as many of those seats to be filled as possible, even if they are all with dissenting voices who only want to say negative things. That's fine. That's part of this process. And you're absolutely right, Mrs. Marinelli. We signed up for this. We were elected by this community, whether you voted for us or not, and I welcome public feedback. Again, this was proposed to us through our clerk's office as a means of maintaining more efficiency and decorum in the meetings. And in support of her, we have put it on the agenda for consideration. But I do not see it as a means or a purpose to stifle public engagement. Again, like I said, we welcome it. It's not something that we're looking to be hard-nosed about. So, if you come back up to the microphone, please, so you're on the record.
I wanted to give an example. Just a couple of months ago, the fire chief, Ryan, I don't remember his last name,
Engel.
he was up here doing a presentation. And here he is, all prepared, and then he gets a notice that, well, you've got 30 seconds left. That's very intimidating. It's a perfect example. So he apparently used 5 minutes, and it was close. I think that's an example as to why you should keep it at least 5 minutes when our own fire chief was getting close. You're standing, most people in the town, I've been up there, they're intimidated to come up here and speak at a microphone. So if it's an issue they have and they do have to come up here, there's a lot of intimidation. And I think it's further intimidation. If you're standing here and somebody says, well, you've got 15 seconds left, you've got it. I think it's wrong, just dead wrong.
Thank you.
And excuse me, just for clarification, that particular scenario that you were providing wasn't Chief Engel. It was the
Tabernacle.
emergency services chief from Tabernacle. And he, yes. So just, and just to further clarify, when he did speak, I did indicate to him that he was closing up on his 5 minutes. He continued to speak, and the committee allowed him to do so.
Well,
So
I'm
just
glad.
to let you know.
But that's an example I was giving, doesn't matter which one.
Oh, no,
I say.
completely understand, but I just wanted to clarify that it wasn't Fire Chief Engel.
Thank you, Bobby. And again, thank you, Mrs. Marinelli, for bringing that example, because that is a perfect example of how Bobby said that whereas, Chief Jackson from Tabernacle was at the limit of his time that night, he raised a lot of very important questions that needed to be answered, as affected our community and the communities in 2 other towns, when they were talking about shared services for EMS. So the committee always has the purview to extend the discussion and extend people's time. So in that regard, Bobby said your time's up, but I said, no, let's keep going because this needs to be finished. I can't have you sit down without this conversation being finished. And I think that's always been our attitude up here. Again, like we welcome the back and forth. And well, first I'll invite anybody else from the public who wishes to comment on this ordinance before I go on any further. I don't want to filibuster.
Tony Bonanno. Then if that's the way you guys are gonna, oops. If that's what you're saying, then why even bother changing it? That's all I have to say. I'm for 5 minutes, but why even bother changing it? I like what you're saying, but why change it?
Understood. So Bobby, before we move on with this, is there anything else you wanted to add to clarify the purpose and intention of the ordinance and kind of how we came to this recommendation?
Basically, the recommendation and suggestion came from my office, as I indicated, and it was just basically to allow the residents to put their thoughts and even accolades on record. And the 5 minutes, to be honest with you, was not being met. We've had quite an excessive amount of public comment from January till now. I was timing everyone. There was situations where individuals were basically reminded of their decorum and the way that they were speaking to the committee and the way that they were proposing their ideas and their suggestions. There were more than enough times that I said, please, remember decorum. You're talking to the committee. And I just think that, again, it wasn't to silence the public. It wasn't to, it wasn't a negative suggestion. It was just basically to provide your comments in a fair, presentable manner that was respectful to those in attendance and to the individuals that sit up at the dais. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you. So, well, first, again, so I'm going to entertain some committee questions and discussion, but first, is there anyone else from the public who wishes to come up and speak on this ordinance before I do that?
Page 110 Ramblin'. So you're talking about decorum versus time. You're confabulating the two. One doesn't have anything to do with the other. So you can speak on something for 5 minutes and you can put a timer on it. If they're disrespectful, that's a whole different ball of wax than what you're talking about as far as time. So this ordinance is just for nothing. You just let us speak for the amount of time that you've set, which is 5 minutes as opposed to 3. And whoever is not very respectful, then you deal with that in a whole separate manner. I don't understand.
Well, it's hard to separate the two because if you're speaking and you're, basically abusive, that's part of your 5 minutes. How do I determine, how do I separate that from the two? Well, you're at the microphone, you have your 5 minutes, and 2 minutes may be legitimately, or 3 minutes may be legitimate concern and adequate. And then the other 2 where you throw in some inadequate behavior, how do I justify, how do I separate that?
Separate. You say you can have your 5 minutes, but the minute that you are disrespectful, then your time is cut. I don't understand why you have to cut the time if somebody's up here just being an ass. They don't, you just don't
take that on as a committee. But you don't have people up here that are nervous and things like that, and like Kim was talking about, who may have learning disabilities and need to say what they need to say in a timely manner.
If there was, and just for the record, anyone that would come to the microphone or has come to the microphone and needed additional time because of, as you said, a disability or needing assistance, we've never cut their time in that fashion either.
Okay, so again, as other gentlemen said, what's the purpose of the ordinance? You can have a separation of time versus behavior. So I don't think the 5 minutes should be cut, but I think anybody who is disrespectful of anybody on this committee and has colorful language, that needs to be addressed within the moment and shouldn't be part of their 5 minutes. The minute they're out of line, they're out of here.
So, and to add to that, because I think you're correct, ma'am. And I won't speak for Bobby, I'll just speak for myself. The internal debate that we always have, especially as it comes to public comment, is deferring to people's First Amendment rights. And those First Amendment rights include being disrespectful, right? There are people who would argue that this is my time, this is a public forum, I can call you every name in the book, I can accuse you of everything in the world, and you can't stop me because this is public comment. And I tend to lean in favor of that, as disruptive and as undecorous as it can be, because the alternative is that you start picking and choosing what you censor or when you decide someone's being disrespectful. And that's a range that people can disagree on, when you've gone from being disrespectful to just being animated or rightfully upset about something, right? We all have different levels. We've also tried very hard, for example, to resist the impulse to have the police escort people out of our meetings. There are towns where that happens all the time. I snap my fingers and the cop comes over and takes them out. I don't want to have to do that here. I'd like us to never get to that point. We've only had to do it one time this year because somebody was being physically threatening and there was no other choice that we had. But again, I never want it to get to that point. I don't think there's a need for us to. So, Ms. Sora, I see you're back up here, so I don't want to take away your time. So I'm going to let you speak for a moment. But here's something I want to throw out there, and with the preface that, Bobby, I have all the respect in the world for you, and nobody runs a meeting better than you, and we all adore you with every fiber of our beings. I'm going to propose that we table this ordinance tonight. I would like to experiment with maybe more formal enforcement of the existing rules that we already have, the existing 5-minute limit and existing rules of decorum, and see how that goes. We've been pretty loosey-goosey here for a while, and that's worked out until it doesn't. So I would like to give the public the opportunity to show that they can use their 5 minutes wisely and that we can have decorous conversation, and revisit altering the time limits for another time if it becomes necessary.
You need a motion?
Yes, I'll entertain a motion to table.
So move, Benson.
Second, Fay.
Okay. Before we move on with the motion, any other comments from the rest of the committee? I don't want to cut off anybody's opportunity to comment.
I had a question. I just, kind of obvious, but what do the other townships do? What's their limit? They 3, 5, 10?
It's a range. So when this ordinance was first drafted for us, we were given a list of neighboring towns, and it ranges from 3 to 5 minutes depending on the town. Nobody has more than 5, nobody has less than 3.
Excuse me,
That I'm aware of. I don't want to misstate, but that's the list we were given. The list we got, all the neighboring towns, either 3 minutes or 5 minutes.
let me just interject one, ever so quickly. With regard to the motion, the second, I had a motion and a second to adopt.
To table.
No, to table.
Wasn't it on the conduct?
Yeah, there's
And
a motion on the floor to table the public comment ordinance.
The ordinance, yeah.
Okay. But I had a motion to adopt first, then open to public.
Oh, it's right. I apologize. We did have a motion to adopt. So if we wanted, so do we need to just vote it down later, or are we better to just let the tabling ordinance supersede? I
I
don't
think
want
we
to.
should probably just vote it down.
Okay, so we have a motion to
Always.
it. So we have a motion to adopt on the table, and we'll do a roll call vote, which I'm assuming is going to turn out the way it's going to turn out. Bobby, roll call, please. This is the motion to adopt the ordinance. So if you don't agree with the ordinance, vote no.
Can we give Cynthia?
Oh, yeah, I apologize. Thank you.
Before
You're standing
that?
there. Before we do anything, please,
Cynthia Sora, 19. My only problem right now.
please come closer to the microphone so we can pick you up on the recording.
I was told today I speak too loudly, so I had a bad day. Cynthia Sora, 9 Ginger Drive. My problem with the ordinance is just twofold quickly, and it's the problem with a lot of these things today. They're introduced on the 16th of October. They're published on the 23rd to the public. The hearing's today and the vote is today, so I don't think the committee ever really has the opportunity to digest public comment because you're voting on it right after the public comment. You don't go back to your executive session and discuss, well, the public said this, the public said that, and maybe we should. So maybe the hearing should occur when you first introduce the document.
This is by law.
Okay.
So it's all, the public hearings always
fine, but
occur at the second.
My second thought is, I have a hard time where the public was discussing what they thought, and instead of the committee members who are voting on this, discussing back with her their position, we're hearing from the township clerk who wasn't elected, explaining her position as to why she wants this ordinance published. Somehow I don't think that's right. I'm thinking it should be the committee explaining as to why you want the ordinance, why you feel it's the need, because some of the public has been disrespectful or not appropriately addressing the topics in the timely fashion. I just have a hard time that we're hearing a lot of Ms. Quinn's reasons for wanting this ordinance, but not the committee's reasons for wanting this ordinance. And that may result in a different feeling of the public as to why the ordinance is necessary.
Understood.
Thank you.
So in this particular case,
Thank you.
We do occasionally entertain requests from our full-time personnel for operational changes, personnel changes, financial changes that they think would make their departments run better or that they think would make their obligations run easier. And because they live here full-time every day and we don't, we respect those recommendations and their professionalism very highly. So from my perspective, my professional respect for Bobby that she made this request and she felt it was necessary, I agreed to place it for consideration on the agenda. And that's all I needed was her to tell me that she thought it would make meetings run better in her professional opinion. I can't speak for anybody else on the committee. I know Bobby had her own conversations with them about why she thought it was necessary, and they have their own opinions, which they're free to express for themselves. But that does happen on occasion, that ordinances are staff-driven for a reason, because it has to do with their day-to-day lives and their workplace environment and not what we have to experience. So before we move on with the motions that we have on the table, is there anyone else this evening for public comment on this ordinance?
Committee also, we can speak to.
Yes, so now we're done with the public. I'll invite the committee to voice their concerns or questions before we move on to the motion that we have on the floor.
So I would just quickly say that while I respect and appreciate Bobby holding decorum, especially over this last year, we had a conversation. Bobby did, she did speak to us, and I did not agree with it. But again, it gets to go to a vote, and all the committee persons get to have their vote and speak their mind on it. But thank you for your comments.
Anyone else on the committee? Any comments or questions before we move to the vote that's on the floor?
I would just like to add, kind of like ditto what the deputy mayor said. I wasn't in total agreement of just reducing the time. I understand what Bobby was saying 100%. Bobby's a rock. If Bobby has a concern or a complaint, trust me, it's worth listening to and taking into consideration. Anybody sitting up here or anybody who's sitting up there, sitting there from the back, knows Bobby's love for this township and her job. She knows her job well. What really swayed me was the young lady right here in the black. You don't take into consideration everybody that comes up to the mic. Like you said, it could be a special needs person up there. And I'm sure Bobby wouldn't say, hey, buddy, you only got 30 seconds. But we all have to take time, take a breath, say what you have to say, and let's see if we can work together and move past it. So thank you.
Thank you, Committeeman Benson. Okay, so just as a reminder to the committee and to the public, the motion that is on the floor was the motion to adopt because that motion came first, and that's the one that we have to entertain. Again, a yes vote adopts the ordinance, a no vote declines the ordinance, and it won't be adopted tonight. So Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson,
No.
Committeeman Robinson,
No.
Committeewoman Smith,
No.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
No.
Mayor LaPlaca.
No. Okay. Thank you all. Right there, you saw a perfect example of why public participation is important in these meetings, because you just changed what we were going to do tonight. So thank you all for being here and changing our minds. I appreciate it.
I'm doing it respectfully.
Yes. You made me think differently about the issue, and that's hard to do with me. So thank you. And again, as I said, going forward, we will be clearer with the rules of public comment and with decorum, and we will exercise our right to enforce those rules as we see fit. But as long as everyone acts like adults, we won't need to do that, and we can keep having free-form discussions as we should. So thank you all. All right, we have more ordinances on second reading tonight. Oh my goodness. All right, Bobby, please read the title of the next ordinance that's on second reading.
Ordinance 2025-11, an ordinance amending Section 18-2 of the Lumberton Township Code entitled Fee Schedule and Chapter 121 of the Lumberton Township Code entitled Uniform Construction Codes.
Thank you, Bobby. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-11?
So move Benson.
Second.
Thank you. I will now open the public hearing for comments relative to this ordinance only. If you have one, please step up to the microphone, state your name and address for the record. You may as well just sit in the front row tonight.
I could. I need the exercise. I only have one question. Why is the need to raise I understand the fees for construction permits and big companies. Why is it that you feel the need to raise the fees for homeowners who are selling their homes on certificate of occupancy, on permits to get work done inside their home? I just would like the board, if you would, the committee rather, to explain to the public why you feel the need to raise the fees. Thank you.
But I know not to put you on the spot, but we do have our construction official in the audience tonight. Do you have any color or context you wish to provide? If you just come to the
Excuse me,
microphone,
Jim.
that way
Yes.
you're on the record for the recording. Sorry, Jim.
Thank you.
See, you're sorry you came tonight now, aren't you?
Perfect timing.
Jim Messina, construction official. The fee schedule hasn't been changed in this town since 2017. It's well antiquated and it needed to be brought up to date. The fee schedule is way too low and we need to make sure that we fund our office properly. The changes to any resident are minimal.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was pretty much what I was going to say, but I want to make sure I was correct. And since you were here, I know I was going to be speaking correctly. Any additional comments on this ordinance?
Since this gentleman brought that up, I'm trying to dig back in my memory. Is the fee schedule for everything to be done supposed to be to pay the salaries of the people that have to? Is that still the case?
Yes.
So in other words, the fees have to be brought up to pay whoever does the job, his job, and whoever assists him.
Correct. It supports the cost of funding the
Okay,
office.
so you pay them more money, you got to increase the fees, right?
Well, the cost of everything goes up. I mean,
Yeah,
even
no,
if we didn't touch their salaries, their health insurance went up double digits this year. So
I'm
just letting you know. Yeah.
I'm just making it clear.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you. Anyone else from the public on this ordinance only? Okay, seeing none. Any questions or comments from the committee?
No, thank you.
Okay. Hearing none. Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson,
Yes.
Committeeman Robinson,
Yes.
Committeewoman Smith,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
Yes.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Yes. And thank you again, Mr. Messina, for your additional information. Bobby, would you please read the title of the next ordinance that is on second reading?
Yes, ordinance 2025-12, an ordinance adopting Chapter 66 of the Lumberton Township Code entitled Use of Township Buildings and Properties.
Okay, thank you, Bobby. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2025-12?
Motion to adopt ordinance 2025-12.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I will now open the public hearing for comments relative to this ordinance only. If you have one, please step up to the microphone and state your name and address clearly for the record. Okay. Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing for this ordinance. Any comments or questions from the committee? Okay. Hearing none, Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson,
Yes.
Committeeman Robinson,
Yes.
Committeewoman Smith,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
Abstain.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we now move on to ordinances on first reading. I will now entertain a motion to table ordinance 2025-14.
So move, Benson.
Second.
Thank you. Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson,
Again, a yes vote tables the ordinance.
Yes. Yes.
Committeeman Robinson,
Yes.
Committeewoman Smith,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
Yes.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Yes. Okay, so we can ignore the information here about the second reading because that ordinance has been tabled. We now move on to our consent agenda resolutions. Does anyone wish to remove anything from consent this evening?
No.
All right, hearing none. Bobby, could you please read the title of each resolution?
Resolution 2025-190, resolution appointing Christian Pascal as a sergeant for the Lumberton Township Police Department. Resolution 2025-191, authorizing the tax collector to adjust an account pursuant to the totally disabled veteran exemption, Block 22.06, Lot 7, 13 Fieldstone Drive. Resolution 2025-192, resolution authorizing budget appropriation transfers during the last 2 months of the fiscal year for the Township of Lumberton, County of Burlington, State of New Jersey. And finally, Resolution 2025-193, designating Fostertown Road LLC as conditional redevelopment of the Flying W redevelopment area project and authorizing execution of the redevelopment agreement with Fostertown Road LLC concerning a redevelopment project undertaken for the Flying W property located in the Township of Lumberton.
Thank you, Bobby. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So move, Benson.
Do I have a
Second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the committee? Hearing
No.
none. Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson,
Yes.
Committeeman Robinson,
Yes.
Committeewoman Smith,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
Yes.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Yes. Bobby, any correspondence this evening?
No, Mayor. I'm not quite sure if you wanted to make any type of acknowledgement received from.
Oh, yes, yes. Thank you, Bobby, for reminding me. So this past weekend, Committeewoman Smith and I had the great pleasure of meeting with several residents who live in country estates about various issues and concerns that they have, ranging from trash collection to traffic and parking issues. And also, they had several questions for us about the proposed possible development of acreage on Ayerstown Road that backs up to Ginger Drive and Country Estates. We greatly enjoyed our time with you, and we are working on all the issues that you provided to us. Following that meeting, we did receive further correspondence from the residents in Country Estates indicating that they wish to have more formal and proactive dialogue between the township and the developer for that property with the residents, especially on Ginger Drive, who will be most directly affected by any construction that has there, especially as regards stormwater and flooding. So that has been provided to the full committee in their packets for this evening, so they've all seen your letter. And you have my commitment here on the public record that we're going to be doing everything that we can to engage you as that process moves forward. Again, nothing has been finalized yet in terms of what that development would look like. Our engineers and planners are working very hard to make sure that all existing state and local, stormwater and flooding regulations are met to the T. One of the things that I did promise you follow up on is finding out, if and when this is developed and for some reason the stormwater and flooding measures they put in don't work, what is our recourse for residents who are affected? So I don't have the full answer for you on that yet, but that is on my punch list of things to do before we move forward with anything with regards to that project. So again, I greatly appreciate all of you reaching out to us with your concerns and continuing the dialogue. Much like our experience this evening with the public comment ordinance, I hope you see that doing that works. It has an effect on us, and we respond to it whenever and however we can. So thank you, Bobby, for reminding me
You're welcome.
to acknowledge that. Any unfinished business matters tonight?
There is not.
Any new business?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I now move on to the approval of purchases for the bill list over $5,000 dated November 6, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson,
Yes.
Committeeman Robinson,
Yes.
Committeewoman Smith,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
Yes.
Mayor LaPlaca.
Yes. We now move on to the approval of the regular bill list and check register dated November 6, 2025. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move, Benson.
Second.
Thank you. Bobby, roll call, please.
Committeeman Benson,
Yes.
Committeeman Robinson,
Yes.
Committeewoman Smith,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Fay,
Abstain from ERI, yes on the rest.
and Mayor LaPlaca.
Abstain from ERI and yes on the rest.
Thank you.
Okay. We now move on to the public comment portion of the meeting. In accordance with Lumberton Township Ordinance 2022-01, I will receive and direct all comments from and responses to the public. Each committee member may be given the opportunity to discuss or respond to the public comment. Comments or responses shall be limited still to 5 minutes. I would now like to open the meeting for public comment. If you wish to address the committee, please step forward to the microphone. Please state your name and address clearly for the record.
Robert Rodriguez, 6 State Road. I'm coming up here to congratulate you on your victory, hard fought. I also want to commend you for doing a clean campaign because your opponent did the same thing. It's important to her that she had it too. And I know your character and I know you're not about that. The Democratic Committee, though, sends stuff out and puts stuff against people, whether a person deserves it or not. I'd like it that we don't do that. I know when I ran, that was important to me, that it was ran with dignity. There is a stain on this township. There is. This is why everyone's asking about any kind of code or anything you want. The timing's probably not right to do something like this, you know? And it is because of the actions that have happened from you. That puts that in there. There's a legitimate concern and trust issue that they have here with the committee. You know, actions that happen affect you all because you guys are one and you are vote. And again, it's gotta be, it can't be what maybe you want to be run and then you guys say yes. All right, you guys gotta think about how's it gonna be? How's it gonna affect the township? Does it cost the people money? Does it do this? It's about this township, not what you guys feel is your agenda or anything like that. And I'm talking generalization, all right? But that's the problem that you have, and that's why people are gonna come up and they're gonna hold you accountable for every little thing that you guys pass. You know, you guys got to do better than that. Have some information. Hey, this is what we're trying to look at. This is why. It could be good things that you guys are doing, but it's not going to be well received like that. And that's what the shame of it is. And that's what's happening. And I've come to you before, and I said this when you probably should have stepped down. That's where it's affecting everybody else in here. You guys when I was up there, I've never had what you guys have gone through. So yeah, I can understand why you would want to take 2 minutes of the time for everything that you've been through. Right? There's good work that could be done. You guys are going to do good work, but it's not going to be seen. Maybe more information on why you're doing this. Maybe more information on, hey, this is what the benefit is for. This is how we're seeing it. And then maybe open dialogue. You know, because again, the bashing of stuff in politics and all, I get that that's that, but it doesn't need to be as well. You could just say like you did, here's what I've done. Here's what I'm about. Here's what I'm going to continue to do and leave it at that. I don't agree with the guy that came in here, Jim, and all that. And this is why you're doing the code of ethics, because I was there and I was embarrassed as a resident. But it's the things that are bringing up and why people are so animate and want to do that. You got to understand that. You know, you got to understand that, hey, this is where this is coming from. And then, you know, like I said, try to do the best you can. Get all the information that you can. Give it to the public. Let them know, hey, here's what we're doing. It just is what it is now. All right. And I thank you guys all for what you guys do as well. I know this is a tough job, Bobby. You're great. She really is great at what she does. And she shouldn't have to be hammered like this at all. And that's all I want to say. Good luck to you.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment this evening?
Smith, thank you for coming out on Saturday.
Yes, sorry, we're going to need you to come closer to the mic so that the recording
I
picks
can
you up.
just yell louder. Cynthia Sora, 9 Ginger Drive. Ms. LaPlaca and Ms. Smith, thank you for coming out Saturday. As you can see, I am the only one here in this room.
Oh, wait, I recognize your neighbor over there.
Oh, yeah.
But thank you for coming out and discussing the issues, especially the bulk pickup. Maybe we can solve and discussing and bringing up about the parking and the cost it would cost for zoning permits, et cetera. I also want to mention that I am a little confused is because we are raising the cost of certain permits and things like that, and we're raising salaries, which of course would mean the cost per trash pickup per home in the township should increase, not decrease, as we were given our reimbursement offer this year. So those are the issues, the cost of the salaries for the trash department, public works department, and the increase in the benefits and all, which all increase the cost of running that department. We're not including the answers to the FOIA requests we posed to the township. So that information should be supplied because that goes into computing the cost of the trash pickup. The second issue I had to bring forth is we talked about that development that's being built behind, that I know there's some plan sitting in the township. My understanding is whether or not it was, and I don't know the answer, so I'm actually just bringing this as a question. The area that is behind, I believe by law, has got to be noticed within 200 feet of the development. Unfortunately, they've noticed some of the houses, not all of the houses, and that also would require to notice the homeowners association, which owns property within that 200 level. And the homeowners association never got any notice. And we only became aware a lot of it on Saturday, some of our board members.
Okay.
So I'd like the committee to look into whether or not that developer has properly noticed the homes within the property owners within that requirement. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. We will absolutely follow up on that. And as Amanda and I stated to you guys on Saturday, we will seek to be above and beyond in terms of how neighbors are noticed, whether they're within 200 feet or not, because that's not really an accurate barometer of who's going to be impacted by that development. So those are conversations we're going to have with our engineer and our planner as we go forward and as that process moves to the land development board, making sure that there's as much proactive notice and public input as possible. To the degree that we're able to have any sort of control over what gets developed there, we want to make sure that we have as much input as possible from who's going to have to live with it. So thank you for that, and thank you for reminding me of that.
I also had a couple ideas that I can talk to our professionals about as far as parking that we were talking about, because it's very limited over there,
Yes.
possibly prior to the new development going up. And Miss Cynthia, thank you.
Oh, the radar sign? Yes, okay,
Yes.
very good.
I spoke to Lieutenant Tenner, and he assured me that was going to be charged up and put right back, and they're monitoring it closely. So we're all over that as well. Deputy Mayor Feo as well. So thank you.
Anyone else for public comment this evening?
Kim Puglisi, 28 Adler Circle. What's happening with the question, the fireman question? Are we going, it didn't pass.
Correct.
So does that mean it doesn't go through?
So it was a non-binding question, which means that it literally does not bind the committee to one action or the other. So for example, if it had passed with flying colors, it wouldn't have required us to take action, just like the fact that it failed doesn't prevent us from taking action. We've already started speaking to Chief Engel about next steps. What's going to happen is that, assuming that the fire company still wants to move forward with requesting paid staffers or other type of assistance from the township, they would put together a presentation that would be given to us during our budget process in the early spring to see what they think is necessary and what we think is feasible. Obviously, that whole process is open to the public, not just here at our regular meetings, but we always have the annual budget workshop every year that we invite everyone to come to. And the fire company makes a full presentation every year during that budget workshop. So we're going to have to evaluate what makes fiscal sense, because obviously we're very sensitive to all the increases that everyone's experienced this year and understand that there is a weariness to spending more money. And we get that, and we've heard you. Yes, and we've heard you. So, it is our job to try to balance as best we can the needs of the township, especially as regards public safety, while also looking at what's fiscally responsible. So we don't have a final answer on that, but I will tell you that we've obviously will take the voters' opinions into consideration. Please do not think that we're going to take that and throw that away just because it was non-binding. It was there for a reason. We wanted to hear from you.
And that's what I'm hoping, that, the public did speak. They did say no. And that you listen to them, because I think it's important. You go and say yes, you get it fired. I don't have any money left, it's like, we got zapped hard this past year with budget, with money, with the taxes and the electric bills and everything. And it's been hard. It's hard to make ends meet.
Yes.
And I'm fortunate enough that I have a husband that is able to provide for me, that I can work part-time, but it's even with him. And he'd like to retire. I don't know if we can.
Yeah.
And that's upsetting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Beverly Marinelli, 28 Flemish Way. Based on what Ms. Sora said about the notifications, if in fact the proper notifications were not given and need to be given, now I stand to be corrected, but I believe in that case, after the new notifications go out, I believe that you would have to have a first hearing start from the beginning.
The 200-foot list is actually for a land development board application. I don't believe there is a land development board application at this point.
No, so I think it was last year or the year before, I know residents in Country Estates started getting notices. It may have been from DEP. It was like stormwater related. I know we had several folks come to a meeting one night with the notices in hand saying, what is this? Why am I getting this? What's coming? What should happen next? So that, I think that was the first round of notices people got. Obviously, if and when this process moves forward and there is an actual site plan application, that's the point in time when notices would go out. And you're correct, though. If the notices are not done properly, then it has to be
Well,
redone.
Ms. Sora said that the association did not get notice.
So the notice was only for the DEP. So there was actually nothing filed for the
I'm
township.
confused. Wasn't the notice for the,
I don't
So I
believe-
understand, and I don't want to misspeak. We can always go back and look at the record and make sure we're speaking correct. My recollection from when folks came to the meeting that night was that DEP sent out notices because DEP had received notice that somebody was considering developing the property. And that triggers like stormwater and wetland notifications. So those were DEP notices based on somebody saying, hey, we're thinking about developing this property, but they didn't come from the developer yet. Because at that point, I don't think we even knew who the developer was going to be. There were still a couple different people who were thinking about it.
but I'm still a little confused. You had a first hearing on the ordinance.
We had a first hearing on a redevelopment plan. That's not.
Oh,
that's nothing-
I'm
yeah,
sorry. It's an ordinance on the redevelopment plan.
Plan,
Well,
which
that's what I'm
has-
talking about. Were the notices required for that? So
I-
the people weren't aware that they could come and hear that and know that it's going to be on the second reading where they can speak. That's what I'm talking about.
I don't believe the 200-foot list is required for a redevelopment plan. So
Okay.
it's required for when people submit applications, you have the 200-foot list. So usually those applications are always before the land development board. I do not believe a 200-foot list is required for the
It's not-
township to adopt a redevelopment plan.
Okay, all
Because
right.
it's just a plan. It's not something that's
And you're
actually going to
sure,
happen.
you're sure, because you said I believe, you're sure.
I'm confident that a 200-foot list is not required for a
Okay.
redevelopment plan because a redevelopment plan is only just a plan. It's not something that's going
I
to happen.
got you. I sat on the planning board for 8 years, so, but
And
I
the
wasn't
planning-
sure what this part
Yeah.
of it
So
required.
if and when something is submitted, the applicant is required to submit a 200-foot list
Right.
to everybody within 200 feet of the property. And if that doesn't happen, then they have to
Mhm.
do it again and they can't appear before the land development board until that's done.
Okay, so then there was no notice required to have the first hearing on the ordinance of the redevelopment plan?
Yeah, the
Okay.
redevelopment plan.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
different, yeah,
Thank you. And thank you, Wade.
you know.
Nick Lamp, 587 Ayerstown. So I came in February because we wanted to talk about the intersection of Ayerstown and Landing. And since then, there have been multiple more car accidents there. Like 3, maybe 4. And I know that Chief Nippen said that we were going to send stuff over to the county because they're both county roads. So I was just wondering if there's been any follow-up with the county. I know you probably don't know now, but like, has the county looked at it? Have they decided to, do some kind of review for the traffic plan?
Bobby, are we aware of any communication from the county?
I believe that the chief did in fact forward information to the county, and he was still waiting to hear from them. I can check with the police department tomorrow. The chief is currently out of the office, but his staff will be able to provide us an update. And if you'd like, you could provide your phone number after the meeting, and we'll reach out to you if that's good.
Yeah, that's
Perfect.
All
Thank
right,
you so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you for coming out.
Kendra Hatfield, 8 Woodstock Court. When was the fire added to a referendum?
It was during the spring. It was after the budget process. The committee deliberated about whether or not to include paid fire staffing in this year's budget. It was determined that they didn't want to do that at this time. So in the alternative, the committee decided to put it out to the vote, non-binding, to see the sense of the community about how they thought about it.
Non-binding was from the jump?
I
Or
wasn't
was
part.
that added?
I wasn't part of those discussions.
Anyone? That was a part of the discussion?
I'll go back and check, and I'll get back to you with exact information, but I believe it was always discussed that it should be non-binding.
So it wasn't added to the ballot and then made?
Was
No.
definitely always going to be non-binding.
Okay.
As a township form of government.
And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, that was stated in the resolution, correct?
was.
That was adopted by the committee.
Always.
That was contained in.
As
there.
it needed to be.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. But all I just say is I hope that you all think about doing this. Everybody said no. We can't afford it right now. Our taxes are high. I'm a single mom. I have no other money coming in. This can't happen. Do we still have shared services with other towns
Yes.
with fire?
With fire, no, we don't have shared services
No.
for fire.
There's mutual.
So
aid.
West-
We have mutual
There's
aid.
mutual- You're talking about mutual aid.
Mutual aid, yeah.
Okay, so there is other avenues,
Well,
correct?
yes and no. Mutual aid doesn't cover everything. There's going to come a point in time where the paid departments are not able to keep responding to towns that don't have their own departments. Historically, and the perfect example is West Hampton. West Hampton didn't have a paid fire department until Mount Laurel finally told them, we can't keep coming to respond to your calls unless you pay us for it. And the cost was so exorbitant
Well,
that West
we do
Hampton,
that with
West
everybody
Hampton
else.
decided to form their own fire department because Mount Laurel said, we can't keep coming to your calls.
And we do that with other things. We have Mount Laurel's whole, half of their staff is here. So why can't we do that with their fire? Instead of paying benefits and another salary, $100,000 salary.
I believe the response time for Mount Laurel is kind of crucial opposed to
Well,
having.
we can go with other
I'm still
towns.
talking
We can go with
until,
other
I'm still talking until, unless it's somebody closer like West Hampton or Mount Holly.
Like I said, we can do it with other towns. Thank you.
Well, I will say this, doing a shared service of that nature that goes beyond mutual aid, especially as it regards fire, EMS, or police, is there's far more devil in the details than there are with other shared services. For example, a construction official or a tax assessor or a zoning officer, those things are much simpler to do. When you're talking about paying another town to cover us completely for an emergency services thing, like again, EMS, fire, or police even, is incredibly cost prohibitive because the other town has to be able to prioritize their own response times to their own community and to their taxpayers. And they may not necessarily have the staff in place to cover another town. So now you're talking about that town's going to have to bring on additional staff just to cover us. And we may not have as much say as we like in how much those folks get paid and what their benefits packages are and how much time we get them for. Again, the most recent example being West Hampton and Mount Laurel. Given the option of paying Mount Laurel to serve West Hampton said, you know what, it's cheaper to do it ourselves because the quote they got from Mount Laurel was so high. And even if that was a possibility, again, every department is having difficulty recruiting and maintaining staff. So the assumption that another department has the bandwidth to cover us is, it's a very optimistic assumption. And that's also assuming that we would have the money to cover it. I personally believe that the proposals that the fire company floated to us were a very reasonable first step to supplementing, not replacing, supplementing the current volunteer staff with a few paid staffers to ensure that the trucks are able to get out and that the trucks are properly staffed and calls aren't going missed. I do not pretend to be an expert in that, but I have all the respect in the world for Chief Engel and for his staff and for the members of the fire company. The fact that they came to us with that request means a lot to me. I take that on faith that they are coming to us because they actually need something. Again, we heard from the voters. It was non-binding. I was not here as part of those deliberations. I have my own opinions about what could or should have been done instead, but I wasn't here to voice those opinions. So I can't second guess what my colleagues chose to do. It is what it is, but it will be part of the discussions for next year's budget. And again, that will be a fully public process and everyone will have the opportunity to weigh in. And when we get next year's revenue estimates for what we think is going to be coming into the township, it may be a very different conversation than it was this year. So, ma'am, sorry.
Again, Kate Page, 110 Rambling. I was at the meeting with the fire chief, and when I'm all about information going out. So they had extra chairs and everything else in the back of the fire department expecting the public to show up. There were maybe 8 of us that showed up. What he broke down as far as what the needs were, part-time, full-time, and what happens during those hours that they needed the paid support, was that Lumberton is missing crucial response just in Lumberton for during those times that they wanted to be paid. So what we asked of them was to give us a proposal 3 to 5 years out, as far as, you know, what budgeting and things like that would have come about. But the numbers that they floated, that I think that if you entertain this again in the spring, I think you would have had, with more information and the kind of information that was given at that meeting, it would have either passed or, you know, been okay to say, you know, let's look at this when my taxes went up $2,000. I'm a single mom and I work 3 jobs just to make ends meet, and I've lived here for 30 years. So the response times in Lumberton, between nobody showing up and only one person showing up, that being the fire chief, there are 52 calls that we can't respond to in Lumberton. And that's unacceptable. I don't want to be one of those 52 when, I mean, I recently fell down the stairs 4 weeks ago. If I needed Lumberton fire rescue during that critical time, and I think that's what the people needed to hear, but I'm not sure why that information wasn't disseminated so that more people could have come out and heard that information. The town financial person was there, and that was the basic question that we asked of her, was please give us, you know, some sort of projection within like 3 to 5 years of what you think. But, you know, when he said paid fire chief and the 4 full-time, because we wanted full-time when we were having that dialogue, was $300 a year, $300 to $350 a year.
Mm.
That I could do, but right now the timing is right on top of the $2,000 that I've got to get another job for. Is difficult.
May I respond? And that's why we put it on the referendum, is because we didn't want to make that decision without the community weighing in on it, because it is such a huge jump.
Right.
Well, I think what she's referring to is the critical information to make the educated decision about the referendum.
I told him if he could put a pie chart, what he said to us in I would have trotted my happy fat ass around to every person and you know, tried to get that information. I've been a nurse for 40 years, and 30 of it has been here in, you know, between Virtua and, you know, Voorhees and all around.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that is absolutely necessary, but from a financial, we just needed more information, and I think the public needed more information as to make an informed decision as to why we were doing this.
Yeah.
And when he floated those numbers to how many calls we were missing and the response times that, and the responding subdivision, not subdivisions, townships do try to get to us. I don't want to be statistic.
No, I agree with you 100%. And so you know what was done, and obviously this is good information for next year. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
The township put together a FAQ document about the fire company and the statistics and why the request was being made, and it was sent out to everyone in their tax bills. We obviously publicized the fire department's open house on our own websites and Facebook pages. The fire company did so as well. I know we announced the open house here at our meetings. We posted pie charts on the township Facebook page, the web page. I also did it on my mayor's Facebook page. And the pie charts, which were prepared by our CFO, broke down 4 possible scenarios, none of which included a paid fire chief. I want to be very clear about that. At this point, we're talking about trying to just get rank and file staffers on the trucks. It was 4 full-timers or 4 part-timers or a combination of 2 and 2. And for the average assessed home in Lumberton, which is roughly $300,000 of assessed value, it came out to anywhere between $150 and $175 per house per year to put 4 guys in the firehouse. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell anybody what is or is not a lot of money. That's not my business to count your pennies. But in my opinion, when you're talking about public safety and you're talking about a service, not just in Lumberton, but everywhere that is in crisis, and this is a very modest request that they made. And it's important to remember that they're the ones making it. I can't emphasize that enough, that we are not seeking to impose our will on the fire company. They are independent. They have been for over 100 years. They have a proud tradition. They are 100% volunteer. And if they could stay that way, I think we would all agree that'd be the best course. But it's just not the way the world is working right now. And they are very smartly being proactive and asking for a level of assistance that I think is a good moderate first step. And yeah, please feel free to. Can you? Yeah.
Again, it's information. I don't think a lot of people knew that, just to maintain the equipment and things like that was 80 grand. And then we lost the FEMA funding.
Yes.
And that was a large chunk. Now, and until you went to those meetings, none of us knew that there were applications that were being made on the part of, Lumberton Fire and Rescue to try to get some of that funding, retrieve it back. And we don't know at this point whether they're going to get that funding.
Yeah.
But again, it's just a matter of if a lot of those pie charts, when I talked to the fire chief, they were really confusing. And there was one just graph that he had explaining exactly what the increase would have been per, and not, at the end of that meeting, all of us were like, we need full time. Don't even start this 2 and 2 and whatever. So we were in agreement, but again, I don't think everybody in the township had that information. And I don't know if I hadn't heard it from Kim, I wouldn't have known to go to that meeting.
Right.
So I'm not sure where the disconnect is in trying to get that information out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
Yeah. And I know as we deliberated the best way to promote not just the referendum question, but also all the information that was available to people, we want to respect the fact that fire company is independent. So when they did their town hall, I asked the chief, do you want the committee to be there? And we all mutually agreed that we wouldn't be there because we didn't want it to be seen as politicized or for anyone to think that, this is our idea, we're trying to make you do it, or, if you hate me, then please don't hate the fire chief. Okay. So I stayed away from it, even though I agreed 100% with hiring firefighters. Right. We also talked about, again, ways of putting the information out there, but then it comes into like, well, how much money do you want to spend telling people that you want to spend money? There's always that balance, all right? Well, how much do we want to spend mailing stuff to people or putting stuff out there? And then, well, we just spent the money we could have used to hire a guy. So there's always better ways to do things. And I appreciate that feedback because I know we really wanted as many people as possible to go to that open house and hear directly from the fire chief's mouth exactly what's going on because he's the best person to talk to. The guys who are actually getting on the trucks are much better to talk about this than I am. So I thank you for going to that meeting and for your feedback about how we can do a better job getting more information out there. No, I think we know who you are, Bev.
This was suggested to me by a fireman who I know. And I'm wondering if there's any thought or been any consideration. How about the county merging together like they did for the high schools? Is it something that would be
So,
suggested to the county?
so I would welcome that suggestion being made to the county if it hasn't already. Gloucester County, I know, has had success in doing a countywide EMS agency, which was kind of seen as crazy when they first did it. And from all accounts, I've been told it works. We've said many times that regionalization is going to be a thing that has to happen, particularly
Well, that's what he said.
particularly for emergency
Yeah.
services. I
It
mean,
has to
we
happen.
all know it. It's a matter of who's willing to start the conversation. Are people willing to be more generous about their turfs and their sandboxes and not worry about who's going to be the chief and who's going to get paid what?
Is
and
that
just worry about providing
something
a
that you
service?
could
But,
approach the county on, committee?
I mean, I'm happy to do it because I don't know how many more ways and more people can express to them that this is a crisis in the county.
I know
you
it
know?
is.
Miss
So,
Bev, can we take you with us?
Excuse me?
Can we take you with us?
Oh, yeah, if we can take you with us, that might be more effective.
I wish I was physically able to. I personally know somebody who's a professional firefighter in another state, and it's regionalized, each county. After talking to him, he was more specific, and I just think that that's the way that it should go. Perhaps maybe another township and yourselves or whatever could have some conversation. Perhaps you could approach the county, see what happens.
No, I think it's an excellent suggestion.
Thank you.
I think you're right on the money.
Doris Priest, 5 Roosevelt Avenue. On a lighter note here, I think our liaison from the Historical Society should know that we've been approached by a family in Lumberton, well, actually in Medford now, but they would like to have historic signs put up at historic places in the township. We have started to work on it. So we would like to say that, we would hope we would have the support of the township committee because we do have a lot of history here that nobody knows about. So I just want you to know that we did have someone come forward and wants to pay for the signs and make sure that they're up.
Tell them Committeeman Benson said, have at it. Tell them Committeeman Benson said, have at it. You have our support, 100%. Absolutely.
Good.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, I
I
think
love
it's
it.
great.
That's a
It's
beautiful idea.
fantastic.
We were completely floored. He came to us and said, we're willing to pay for everything.
Wow.
So
I
Outstanding.
love that. Yeah.
we've started working on
Yes.
it.
That's excellent.
And I-
Thank you.
One of the oldest areas of Lumberton is Ayerstown.
Yes.
And today we sat and read this long dissertation about Ayerstown and the mills and everything that were there. So
And you didn't call me?
it was kind of cold sitting there going over all these things. Nobody could read it but me. Everybody said, I can't read this piece of paper. It's all handwritten. I can't read this. But we did get a lot of information out of it. So we're hopefully that, hope we can do this very soon.
That's
Thank you.
fantastic. And any assistance that you need from the township, installing the signs or, identifying locations for them or anything else that you would like us to be helping you with, we've always wanted to partner more with the Historical Society, especially as we come up on the 250th anniversary of the United States. I know the county's preparing a lot of things for 250. There's got to be plenty of history here in Lumberton that we can promote to people for that.
I know, we're
So,
hoping we can get some signs up for the
yes,
250th.
Yes.
that would be wonderful.
Yeah, would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
that
you.
piece of good news tonight. Anyone else for public comment this evening? You sure? Okay. All right. I will close public comment, move on to comments from our committee, starting with Committeeman Benson.
I felt like I haven't been here in a long time. I had a couple of life-changing events, from retirement to getting married to honeymoon and back and trying to get my bearings again. I have been in contact with Historical Society, trying to help them with some repairs, much needed repairs to their building. There's been, I think we had at least 1 or 2 meetings with the Shade Tree Committee, so things are working. I just wanted to add something on the paid fire department. You know, some of the things that you take for granted, sometimes you have to sit back and actually think about them, you know, while you're sitting by yourself. And I'll say this about the paid fire department aspect. Um, you know, for me, I'll call my cell phone fixed income now. You know, waiting on the government to send me a check once a month, and I dread it. But I did 26 years, so I'm good. You know, and I do my little virtuous thing. But I get the fact that, you know, we're all pinching pennies now. It's that type of environment, that's that type of society that we're living in now. But I don't ever want to put public safety on the back burner. And I think that's where I would assume that all committee members uh, rely on the professionals in regards to making decisions for the township that we're up here representing. We don't ever want you to think that we're forcing something down your throat. Your opinion matters, your voice matters, every vote matters. Um, Paid fire department, hey, listen, my personal opinion, I don't want to wait for West Hampton to show up to my house if my neighbor's house is on fire or my house is on fire. I don't want that. That's just my personal opinion. So, you know, that's just where I stand on it. But I miss being up here, and I'm glad I see all these faces in the audience, sharing their feedback. And to sound like a politician, this is what democracy is about, and people having a voice. And I appreciate you guys coming out. Thank you.
Thank you. Committeeman Robinson.
Yeah, I share the comments of Committeeman Benson. I again appreciate everybody for showing up. It's great seeing this many faces out there. I wish we could see more, and I love the participation. You guys show democracy works. Thank you.
Thank you. Committeewoman Smith.
I want to thank you for all that have attended today and came to express your opinions in the most respectful manner. There was a lot of progress. And I appreciate the residents that have met me on the weekends and all our time off to come to better conclusions on how we can make their community better. Thank you to all the professionals that help keep us safe. And my fellow committee members, thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Fay.
Yep. I'm happy to see so many people. I've been out for a while too. Many of you know that I lost my mom, and I just want to say thank you for every phone call, every text, every prayer, every condolence and encouragement. It meant a lot during this time. I want to thank the residents for your vote of confidence, re-electing me to continue to work and serve the committee. I'm looking forward to getting back to work. If I have missed any emails or any phone calls that anybody sent, kindly excuse. I'm working my way through the backlog of emails. But to that extent, thank you to not only the committee, but everybody who extended respect and grace and respected my time to look after my family and to grieve and mourn our loss. Thank you to all of our employees. I too was able to speak to some of the residents in Country Estates. They shared with me how the speeding was such a concern, and I called and was able to speak to Lieutenant Cheeseman, and so I'm glad to know that the speed sign is up there and working. I know that Lieutenant Tenner and Lieutenant Cheeseman were both working to make sure that that was functional and operational to help everybody out. And thank you to my fellow committee members. Thanks to Bobby. Thanks to all of our professionals and everybody who was just so supportive. And it just means the world. And it's really good to see so many people here tonight. Thank you for speaking to us. I'm glad that we all were able to hear from you. And I know that not all of us, you know, some of us were in agreement. We all respect Bobby and tremendously. And she holds us down all the time. But I'm glad that we're still going to have 5 minutes. I'm glad everybody got a chance to speak tonight. Oh, I'm so sorry you can't hear me. I'm glad everybody got a chance to speak tonight, and thank you all for coming.
Thank you. So first, I will echo the congratulations that you've received tonight, Lori, for your reelection. And I also want to share my congratulations to both you and to Kate Abeg for running a clean campaign that was focused on love and care for Lumberton and the showcase of ideas, and that there are different voices out there with different ideas. And I know I don't think Kate's here tonight. Maybe she's watching the meeting, but Kate, if you're listening, please do not put down your commitment to service. Please keep trying. Whether you go for another elected office, we always have openings on our various boards here in town. Our land board, I think, is going to have vacancies coming up. Our green team, our flood advisory board. We always want voices from all walks of life and all sides of the aisle to come and give us feedback on what we can be doing better. So I applaud anyone who steps up and puts their name on a ballot. It is not an easy thing to do, especially in this climate. I also, again, want to thank the public for directly influencing our agenda this evening. It's not often that you see that in this day and age at any level of government. Usually the process is already set and baked well in advance of when the meeting starts, and people who come and make comment are just shouting into the wind, and then we just do what we're going to do anyway. I'm glad that that's not how we operate here. You were heard, you changed our minds, and you had an impact, and please keep coming back. I am not one who's easy to have my mind changed, but again, you guys are the ones that put us here, and you're the ones that we listen to. And if it seems like we don't, I promise you that we do. We have very healthy debates behind the scenes. You may not see that when we're sitting up here because we all have a job to do and we all would act like adults, but we absolutely have differences of opinion. And I can tell you, there is no one person on this dais who has any more influence over the rest of us than the other, regardless of what chair they sit in. This evening, you saw 2 ordinances that were up for a vote get tabled. And that's because the committee had a change of mind about what direction we wanted to go with things. And we're always happy to have our minds change and to evolve our positions. That's how we work. This is not a one-woman show or a one-man show. And with respect to some other comments that were made tonight, I'm not going to address them directly, but rather indirectly. It has been suggested to me from people that I love and respect that I have not issued a proper apology to the community for what happened this year. And I was under the impression that I had, but obviously if there's anyone out there who thinks I didn't, then I need to do better. So I apologize to everyone here, to my colleagues, to everyone in town for my conduct this spring, for the negative attention that it brought to our community, for the pressure it put on my colleagues to have to conduct business in my absence for 2 months and to take the public scrutiny and pressure that came with that. They did it with aplomb and with professionalism and care and impressed the heck out of me in doing so. We could not be luckier to have these 4 people on either side of me serving this community. No one is more embarrassed or disappointed by my behavior than I am. I have tried hard to live a good and decent and respectable life, to stay out of trouble, to serve others, to live a life by example, not just for my children, but for anyone who may look up to me as a public figure, elected official. I don't think of myself as being all that important, but I do recognize that I am potentially a role model for people. I hold a title that is viewed as very important. There are 565 towns in New Jersey, which means that out of 9 million people, only 565 get to call themselves mayor. That is a privilege and an honor that I cannot even tell you how much it means to me. And I dishonored that privilege this year. It was not my intention to do so, but I did it, and I own that. I love this town very deeply. I moved here in 2016, never even having heard of Lumberton. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just a girl from Staten Island who fell in love with a boy from Mount Holly who told me that Lumberton's a great place. We should buy a house there. And I did. And I immediately wanted to be a part of this community and give something back to it. And whatever our personal disagreements may be, political disagreements, If you'd rather set yourself on fire than vote for me, that's okay. I totally understand. But please know that everything I do up here is because I want this town to be a better place. I want it to live up to its potential. I want us all to be neighbors who feel like we can talk to each other. I don't want us to be divided by neighborhood or by political affiliation or by age or by income. I want us to all feel like we can come together, whether it's at our community events, things that make the town proud, like our history, our Memorial Day parade, our wonderful National Night Out that has now become Emergency Services Night, our food truck nights, our holiday tree lighting, which is coming up in December. Please, everybody come out to that. Support for our incredible first responders, whether they're volunteered or paid, whether they work for the township or for their own entity. We are so fortunate here. I talk to my counterparts in other towns all the time, and we are so fortunate here. I hope folks know that. And we take very seriously our obligation to make sure that your tax dollars are coming back to you in ways that you can see and that you can value, and that if you lived in another town, you wouldn't have it as good as you have here. And we're all in the same boat. We all saw our mortgages go up this year because of the school taxes, because of homeowners insurance. Our PSEG bills are through the roof. And we're all trying our best, and that includes me. I'm doing the best I can. I'm going on 8 months sober. I am working my program. I have a sponsor. I go to AA meetings every week. And every day I'm working on how to be a better and more accountable person to all of you. So I apologize for going on that long. I just sort of, stream of consciousness, just felt like I wanted to share that and take advantage of how many people we have in the room tonight. I didn't want to say that when there's nobody here. I figured since you're all here, this might be an appropriate time to take a point of personal privilege. And thank you all again for being part of what makes Lumberton great. Bobby, caucus agenda.
Yes, your next meeting is scheduled for December 4th, 2025, 7 PM here in the courtroom.
Thank you. And I already know we don't need executive tonight because we already did it. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move, Benson.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everyone, and be safe.